Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Save As Ability. It's David D'Arcangelo with you, and we have a great guest, but before we get to our great guest, we want to ask if you can continue to help us grow our channel by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. All of that really does help us keep great content flowing for you. And we've got great content today. We want to welcome in Johanne Arsenault. Johanne, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. And we've corresponded over one of the podcast guesting services. And what really stuck out to me, Johanne, was the title of your book. I want to make sure I get it right. Even a flower can grow in the ugliest of places.
Correct.
So let's learn a little bit about you. Tell our audience a little bit about you, and then we can talk about your book and topics, how they relate to our program here.
Okay, well, I'm going to go as far back as 1999. I had a car accident. And luckily, I didn't break anything. However, I had what they call whiplash. And because of the whiplash, this brought on fibromyalgia, problems with different organs, etc. So this I could talk about for like the whole day about what happened and the process. And after 2 years, I had to be taken off work because I couldn't function anymore. I need a period of repair, respite. And then eventually what happened is, all of the physical issues I had weren't allowing me to work like I used to.
Yes.
I had a home. I had 3 teenagers at the time. Everything was just too much. But I had to learn again how to get back out there, how to work, how to run things around the house differently because, I used to be superwoman and I would clean the whole house in one day and I was
Sure.
out dancing every weekend and geez, I was just splitting myself 50 ways. And all of a sudden I came to a point in my life where, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I have to learn a new way. It was a little bit depressing, I'll be honest with you. At first, it's a shock. But then, I'm the type of person that I just never give up. That's my motto in life. I never give up. I always find a way through some doctors, through therapies, through spirituality as well. I found myself slowly getting back out there, just learning how to live differently, but still, able to work part-time instead of full-time. And then realizing, that my body was telling me, hey, you just can't do this anymore.
Yes.
You've got to find a different way to live. And so I did that. And then through the years, there were ups and downs, and I went back to school for travel and tourism. That was also very physically demanding. Financially, I fell into a couple of deep holes, just to say the least, where I had to dig my way back out. And then I was like, okay, just keep going. It doesn't matter. That doesn't work. Something else will come. And this has been my whole life. And really, the book itself is saying that no matter how terrible or ugly or difficult things get, you can always find a way. And you've got to just persevere.
We love that message, Johanne. What we say here is the path to prosperity is paved by perseverance. You got to hang in there, and you're demonstrating that, and I value that. So thanks for telling us a little bit about your journey there and that pain. And you bring about some common denominators that other guests have talked about, and that's really that you just got to keep hanging around and just keep going forward. And it can be difficult, particularly when you're talking to other people and you don't necessarily present as having all of this. And so these non-apparent challenges that people encounter oftentimes can really then, be playing with your mind. And it's like, now all of a sudden it's going to other areas and you're like, wait a minute, I got in a car accident. Now tell us a little bit about how it's personified throughout other aspects.
Well, you mentioned about the the appearance. So people look at me and there's nothing wrong with you. And how frustrating it had to get each time I had to explain to people to justify myself. I must say, too, that it took 7 years to win my court case with the Quebec Automobile Association. And so through that battle, not working, being on social assistance, not having money, having to declare bankruptcy. I mean, it was just this thing. And like I said before, you just have to keep trying, because if you don't, what's the other option? Giving up? Getting depressed? I couldn't afford to do that. I had children. I was a single mom. I had a house. Did I feel like getting up every morning and fighting? Because, also what goes along with that is that you're not getting the proper sleep. So you're sleep deprived. You're in pain
And it
because
becomes this vicious
and it's a
cycle.
vicious
And
cycle.
yeah,
Exactly. But, you say, okay, I finally got it into my mind. And this is going to sound horrible, but I came to a point where I just started lying. People ask me, are you okay physically? Yeah, sure. Can you work? Yeah, sure. Anything, whatever you need, I can give you. And this is what it became.
just trying to avoid that covert discrimination.
The discrimination and also, I guess, the judgment, because, I had people say, well, you're disabled. And this at first, when I heard that word, actually really got me like angry. Because I was like, no, I'm not 100% disabled. Yes, I have disabilities, but I'm still a person, a whole person. And if I can't work with certain parts of my body, I still have my brain. I
Sure.
still have my voice. And this will make me jump forward to my last employment with Air Canada. So I was a flight attendant. Now, I flew for only 2 years because I started having issues, not only physically, but my ears. I started going deaf like periodically. And so I was like, okay, this was like the rug was pulled out from under me, because I had a choice to make again. Do you want to stay on a job where potentially you can go deaf? Or do you again start over at 63, look for more work because you haven't turned 65 yet? So you see a bit like what happened, and all the mind. Again, do I go into a depression or do I fight my way back out?
Not Joanne's going
Not
into
not
depression.
Joanne. And that's when Joanne wrote the book about her story, about how many things happened to me in my life: divorce, accidents, near death experiences, whatever the universe threw my way. I was like, no, I am not letting this get me down. And I've done therapy once, twice, 3 times. I mean, I'm talking about a therapist, as in, uh, chronic illness, chronic fatigue therapy, therapists after divorce, therapists during high school. I'm saying, if you can't do this alone, you get out there and you get help. There
It's
are
okay to not be
resources.
okay and talk with other people about it.
And
Absolutely.
there's resources for everything, not
There
just the
really is.
physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. It's all out there today.
Talk to us about the stigma, though, that you encountered both internally and externally there, like, and being accepting of
Okay, so
assistance.
the stigma, I could give you an example about a couple of employments in the past. And for one example, I was hired to be a supervisor for a dining hall in a private school. Now we're talking 3 lunch back to back, 900 students, 200 staff. Okay. When I was hired to do this job, I openly said, look, physically, I'm not 100%. I would love to accept this employment. And I was lied to. I was told, well, you know what? It's okay because you're just going to walk around and supervise. And part of the time you're going to be sitting and working at a computer. Okay, let's sign. Put me on. I'm all for it. It was nothing like I was told. I was running, and I'm saying running, perpetual motion from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. If I had a 5-minute break in there, it was great. And I was doing 14 to 17,000 steps a day, up and down stairs, not only taking care of the dining hall and the 3 lunch periods, but also taking care of the lounge for the teachers. So I was like constantly monitoring upstairs.
Did that get a
Y-
whole chapter in the book? That sounds intriguing. That
You
sounds like a
know,
movie.
only because we're speaking about it. I did not put a big chapter. I just said that was not an employment for a 59-year-old woman. That was a job for a 35-year-old guy. What a strong pair of arms, because I was lifting, these plastic bins of dishes, 40 pounds each. I could tell you in one day I was lifting like 25 of these easily, if not more. So yeah. So the thing was is that I wanted to work and I wanted to do within my abilities, within my capacities, but
Yes.
then you're lied to. And unfortunately, the same thing happened with many of my employers. I was honest with them. I told them, look, this is my situation. I can only work part-time. And the other thing I had to lie about, I with some in the past, I wouldn't tell them I can only work part-time because of whatever. I would tell them I can only work part-time because I retired early and I have a pension.
Yeah.
So if I work too many hours and I make too much money, I'm going to be paying too much income tax at the end of the year. So this was another lie that I learned to use because I was like, I'm not getting hired. I'm being honest and I'm not being hired. So I think it's a terrible thing in today's society. And I'll be honest with you, I've tried probably for periods of time on Indeed to look for part-time work.
It's very difficult. Half them out there are ghost postings. I know it can be challenging.
Scammers, yes.
All right, Joanne, as we begin to conclude here, let's leave our audience with a couple of takeaways because you have been able to persevere and you're doing great now and, prosperity and everything else. So give us a couple of takeaways that the audience can really kind of focus in on and identify with.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm 64 now, and it took me a long time to self-love, to let people know that they have to respect your boundaries. Now, in every sense of the word. I worked with someone that stressed me out so much. I was on morphine for like 2 years. Uh, there's a lot of things that when you know your capacities, you know your abilities. If your abilities are with your mind, well, even then, people could try to abuse of that. So, self-care, self-respect, self-love, all of those things are very important. And like I said before, you can't do something on your own. There are tons of resources out there. Get the help you need. More importantly, never give up. Just, this is not my first book. I wrote 3 children's books. You know what? It wasn't great. It didn't really give anything. And I had no intention of writing a memoir. But you know what? Those 4 things were very therapeutic in my healing. So this is another thing. Anything that you have got to find a way that's good for you. What's going to work?
Joanne, that's terrific. We just had a little, Isabella gave us a good point over here too, and she appreciated that. So,
Oh, thank you.
all right, Joanne, be sure to get us the links. We'll put it in the description so people can find your book or books.
Yes.
And we appreciate you. Any last closing thoughts?
Well, I appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to get out there and spread my good word with folks. And, there's so many words I can use to encourage people. And this is by my courage, I can encourage others.
Well, we love that message and we appreciate your perseverance and
Thank you.
value that. That's really one of the things we push here
Thank you.
at Save Visibility. So,
And
Joanne,
continue to do that.
we keep trying. Help us. Help us. Again, all of our listeners and viewers out there, if you can help us continue to grow, like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that really does help us keep great content flowing for you. So, Johanne Arsenault, you're a peach. We appreciate you. It's David Darkangelo, another episode of Save Visibility. I hope you have a great day. For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David Darkangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.